I've heard the same story a dozen times. Somebody grabs a cheap, budget floor scrubbing machine because the price looks right, only to discover after the first shift that the battery quits halfway through, the squeegee leaves streaks, or the whole thing can't squeeze through the narrow aisles of a small shop. That regret hits hard when you've already scheduled a cleaning crew and the equipment can't keep up. So the question I keep hearing is there a middle ground where you don't have to sacrifice performance for price? Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The Viper 56384775 AS510B walk-behind floor scrubber sits right in that sweet spot for many small to medium commercial spaces. It's not a $199 Mopan bucket hybrid, but it's also not a $5,000 industrial machine you'd see in a massive warehouse. It's the kind of tool you'd expect to see in a coffee shop that needs to keep a glossy floor all day, a boutique gym with high-traffic rubber mats, or a medical office where you want a clean, chemical-free surface without dragging a heavy tank around. First off, the design is genuinely compact. The chassis is narrow enough to thread through a 30-inch doorway, and the 20-inch cleaning head doesn't feel clumsy when you're turning around a display case. In my own experience, trying to clean a 200 square foot retail floor, I was able to start at one end, sweep the whole area, and dock the unit for charging without ever having to back up or reposition the machine. That sort of maneuverability matters when you're dealing with shelving, display islands, or a kitchen line that runs right up to the walls. The real selling point is the 105Ah AGM battery paired with a 9-amp onboard charger. AGM, absorbent glass mat. Batteries are maintenance-free, which means you don't have to check water levels or worry about acid spills. The capacity is generous enough that, under typical commercial use, about 300 square feet per hour of medium soil cleaning I could run for roughly 4 to 5 hours before the indicator warned me to head back to the dock. That's a full shift for many businesses, and it eliminates the dreaded battery dies at the exact moment you're halfway through a room scenario that cheap cordless units often present. Now, let's be honest about the trade-offs. The scrubber uses a 31-inch squeegee assembly that includes a brush and a rubber squeegee. The brush is solid for picking up grit and small debris, but if you have a lot of sticky, Dreden residue, think a kitchen that's been hit with spilled oil or a workshop with tar, this machine will need a pre-scrub or a more aggressive brush head. The manufacturer doesn't ship a high abrasion pad, so you'd have to purchase that separately. It's not a deal breaker, but it's an extra cost that people often overlook when they compare headline specs. Another practical consideration is the onboard charger. It's built into the chassis, which means you can simply roll the scrubber into its docking station and plug it into a standard 120-volt outlet. The charger draws 9 amps, so it won't overload a typical shop circuit, but you do need to allocate a dedicated outlet close to where you store the unit. If you're working in a space where power is already stretched thin, you'll want to plan that out in advance. Who should buy this machine? If you run a small business, say a CAF, a boutique, a fitness studio, or a medical clinic where you clean the floor daily, and you need something that can keep up for an entire workday without constant battery swaps, the Viper AS510B makes sense. It also fits well for property management crews that service multiple small locations. You can load the battery, hop in the vehicle, and hit a couple of sites before you need to recharge. The durability claim engineered to withstand heavy daily use holds up in my test runs. The chassis didn't show any wobble after a week of continuous operation, and the battery maintained its voltage curve. On the flip side, if you're a large warehouse manager looking for a machine that can handle 10,000 plus square feet per shift, or if you need a scrubber that can tackle thick, gritty concrete with a heavy-duty brush, you'll probably want to step up to a larger, higher capacity model. The Viper's 20-inch head and 105Ah battery are fantastic for moderate workloads, but they'll start to feel limited when you need to cover massive floor areas quickly. Likewise, if you're on a shoestring budget and can't justify a $2,000 plus purchase, a simple corded floor buffer might be enough, but be prepared for the trade-off in battery life and maneuverability. In real-world use, the scrubber's strengths shine when you pair it with a good cleaning solution and a regular maintenance schedule. I found that using a P-balanced neutral cleaner helped the brush glide smoothly over tile and sealed wood, and the squeegee left a dry, streak-free finish. Because the machine is battery-powered, you avoid the tripping hazards of cords, which is a subtle but important safety benefit in a busy environment.